Also, the last episode we did was like 45 and it banged. I reckon we start aiming for that. If it goes over, fine. But yeah.
There we go. You heard it from the best podcast producer in the biz. I think Jamie Smith was really pushing for 45-minute episodes with the Melbourne Strength Culture podcast a while back. And like, I was filthy about it because I'm like, cunts, yap for 90 minutes and I'll fucking play it twice. But yeah, like, and this is just like another reason why you shouldn't make assumptions about your own content consumption behaviors, etc., or even marketing response behaviors and project that onto other people. Otherwise, you'll avoid things like email marketing and monetizing your podcast for like 5+ years, like I did. Like I said, sometimes you line up with the average person's behavior a little bit more, but more often than not, I've found that I'm a bit of a weird cunt. But anyway, let's get into, I know everyone's always fired up to hear how our suggestions, not always for your workout playlist, but what songs have been getting me G'd up this week. We've got 3 for you.
Here's actually an interesting segue, which I'll add to the podcast length thing. How many of your favorite albums ever go for more than an hour or much more than an hour? Because I would hazard it's hardly fucking any of them.
Actually. But I point is well received, but I like Block Party, The Strokes. They're not pushing over an hour.
That's why leave people wanting more.
Every Time I Die. What's Every Time I Die? What's the album I like? Is it The Big Dirty?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if any Every Time I Die album is over an hour. Fucking Vaya EP. Is that the name of the EP? But at the drive-in, that's definitely under an hour. Fuck me dead. Are you right? Maybe he's right. Anyway,
it's a thing.
An Honest Mistake by The Bravery. I've been pumping that. That used to get a good run in a lot of surf movies. Been getting me pretty fired up for my squats this week. Also really loving Opus by Eric Prydz. Just a fucking absolute machine, consistent machine from back in the day. I've missed out on a few opportunities to see him live. And if I ever have an opportunity again, I'm not going to miss out again. I'll tell you what, it'd be like a little bit of a fantasy of mine to see Eric. What? Is it Eric Prydz or Eric Prydz? Anyway, however the fuck you say it, I would love to see him play the Sphere. So if someone listening could forward that to the right people so we can tee that gig up, that would be amazing. And then finally, an old classic from one of my all-time favorite bands since fucking high school, Like Eating Glass by Block Party. My AI robot on Spotify served that up for me the other day, which was a really nice swan song, as I will be cancelling my subscription to Spotify soon because the guy who runs it seems to be a particularly heinous cunt. I also trained my mum face-to-face at the gym this week for the first time in 8 years. And I think it'll be good to sort of unpack that a little bit because I think did I mention it on the show like last week? I think I was sort of foreshadowing this opportunity or it to come a little bit because last time me and my brother were training our mum, like we just like pushed it too hard. Do you know what I mean? Like we're going through that phase 100%. Of like, fucking strength training is healthcare. Which is definitely true. But like when you're dealing with a menopausal woman, like it's like, sorry, not even that. Like it's just like when you're dealing with a human being, you have to respect that it's their experience and not your experience. And I always talk about this with the trainers in all my education groups, whether it was the mentorship back in the day or now what is the GPP Level 1 cohort. I always talk about like, it's all well and good, this anti-fragile philosophy and believing in the adaptive abilities of humans and just the general resilience of the human system. But it's also like, just this biopsychosocial approach or like respecting it that it's their journey and their experience and like how much of it is just based in trust. So the example I always bring up, which is pretty much exactly what played out with my mum. Mum was a little bit nervous about not just deadlifts, but heavy lifting in general. And me and my brother like, nah, not only is heavy lifting safe, especially if you follow like an intelligent, sensible rate of progression, but it's actually going to make you stronger, more resilient, and probably reduce pain in the long term. But like in reality, just because deadlifting isn't inherently riskier than any other activity, it's like you can still flare your back up, you know what I mean? So, and mum did have a flare up when we were pushing her deadlifts and it just broke the trust. And then it took so long to win that trust back. And that's the thing. So it's like all well and good if you say to your client, like, no, deadlifts are actually good for you. But you have to know that it's like shit happens. You know what I mean? And it's like, and if you're unlucky enough, especially early in that journey, for them to have like a negative experience with any exercise, especially when you were the one that convinced them to do it in the first place and they had a lot of reluctance, it's like, man, like, yeah, you have to make them want it and they have to be bought into it. And then if they do have a negative experience, they'll probably still have a way less negative reaction to that. I'm not very articulate today. I stayed up too late last night. I broke my midnight curfew. I was off the phone last night. You'll notice that I didn't post it on the grid either. I've got to update everyone with the train and mum carousel, shows what we actually got up to. But it was mad, man. I was so stoked to bring my mum into the gym, get her back into like some real solid lifting. She does do weight training on her own at home. I know she's not pushing it hard enough for my taste and like just a little bit constrained by equipment. So it's good. Bring her into the gym at least once a week. She got access to a whole range of machines. So gave her a go on a bunch of those, leg extension, seated ham curl, chest press. What other machines did we use? Maybe that was it, because then we did like some free weight hand supported squats and she did do deadlifts. So like part of my initial proposal to like win back her trust, I was like, no, come into the gym. Like, not only am I a changed man and I'm going to respect that it's your journey here and I'm just here to sort of help and assist you on that journey rather than making it about me and like what I need my mum to do. But mum was like, no, like I want a deadlift. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, you know, I know that she was sort of more doing that. My mum doesn't give a fuck about deadlifting, but I sort of saw that as her meeting me halfway. So, and I was very, very, very careful. We started out with a 10 kilo bar, elevated up on a bunch of stacked plates and things like that, reducing the ROM. And I was like, how's that? And she was like, oh, it feels lighter than what I'm doing with the kettlebell. So, and we're actually able to push her up to, what did she get up to? I think she got up to like a 25 kilo deadlift for 5 reps. So I was super stoked about that. I should message her actually, see how she's feeling today. But she left the session feeling absolutely tops. So yeah, that was a good win for me. The BPS has been like, I mean, it's always an ongoing theme. It's like a governing sort of framework for my whole sort of coaching and training system. But something that came up in the GPP Level 1 group calls this week is just sort of talking about like scope of practice, which is a really relevant conversation, like biopsychosocial model. So like, the specific question was like, how much am I in my lane acting as a psychologist for my client? And it's like, well, we sort of get shoehorned into that role, whether we accept it or not to an extent. Like, but there's definitely clear boundaries. So it's like, it's more in line with like respecting the complexity of a human and just being like, you're more than just physical structures. Like you have feelings about exercise, you have previous experiences with exercise, thoughts, beliefs, expectations, and they all feed into how our system processes stress. Stress is not a purely biologically mediated phenomenon. So it's important to put on your little psychologist cap and play that role to some extent with your athletes. But where that ends is like, you know, you're not trying to be their life coach. You're not trying to like heal their trauma. You're not trying to like hypothetically, like exercise can be like a really emotional time. And when you're spending one-on-one time with someone, like serious things might come up, like serious mental health problems. And like, you know, something I threw out there just as like a real hard line is like, if, for example, self-harm comes up, like this is not within your scope of practice. Like don't shove them out of the session and be like, oh, we can't talk about this. Like be there for them. But like things like that was where you're like, hey, like, you know, have you thought about like talking to a professional about that stuff? That sounds kind of gnarly. Like I'm here for you, but you know, I'm trying to think of a less, I don't want to say that's a ridiculous example because, I mean, fucking, that's something that's come up I've had that come up with a client before, but I'm trying to think of a more like, not less agreeable example, but something that might be a bit more in the gray area. I think like disordered eating is an example. That's not strictly related to training. That's more on the nutrition side of things, which if you've just got your personal training certificates, especially in Australia, you're already flirting with stepping outside your scope of practice when you're getting too strict with your nutrition recommendations there. But like noticing things about like quite disordered eating and I don't know. But yeah, it's you're not being their psychologist. It's like you're just respecting everything that makes up the human experience. So it's not even about deliberately trying to be a psychologist. I guess I sort of framed that wrong from the jump. God, diving into complex topics on fucking 4-hour sleep is rough as guts, but look at us fucking go. So yeah, just use your fucking common sense, I guess. If you want a more detailed response, catch me in the fucking Q&As when I've usually had 8 hours sleep, 2 coffees, I'm firing on all cylinders. Look at us fucking sipping away in tandem. That nootropics.
Hell yeah. What do you got happening there?
A double shot latte from my Sunbeam home machine.
You don't give a fuck.
Nah. I was going through a real kick, like, because like I've been talking about a lot, like trying to just sort my life out a little bit, like in terms of just bedtime or sleep routine, nutrition. And a part of that initially was sort of reining in my caffeine consumption, because I was like, fuck, am I just reflexively caffeinating myself? If you want to learn more about the general physical preparation training philosophy, we put together an extremely practical course covering all the different aspects of physical preparation, as well as a unit on programming, so you know how to tie it all together and produce the same world-class results that we get with our athletes. We've got pre-recorded lectures, a community page where you can ask questions and interact with the other GPP coaches, as well as monthly calls where you can ask questions live or just catch up and hang out with us. Check out the link in the show notes for more info. Anyway, back to the show. Waking up a little bit tired, slamming so much caffeine that I skip the alertness and go push myself into a more of an anxious state. And I started thinking about how much was my afternoon caffeine consumption affecting my ability to get to sleep in an early time. But since I have sort of locked in more with my sleep, I actually find that I can be more abusive with my caffeine intake and more tolerant to it. So that's really been exciting, because I was a little bit it was a good experiment to really rein that in, go back to 3 or less shots per day. But then I was also like, man, it's okay to just rip and tear a bit. You know what I mean? There's give and take with life. You don't have to fucking, it's not all bad.
Oh, absolutely. And I think especially depending if you know what you've got coming up as well. If you know you've got I don't know, a really fucking intensive later part of the day, have more caffeine, Yeah,
I know. It's not meth, Sometimes I feel like in the fitness industry, we talk about afternoon caffeine consumption as if it's doing crystal meth. It's no, it's caffeine. It's fucking good for you, you can't. Let's get into the speak pipe.
This is a return speak piper. So this is Schwan, who sent us a speak pipe a while ago. I can't quite remember what it was about, but I remember it was a good one. So yeah, hell yeah, have a return caller. Also, he sent this through a while ago, 3 months ago. So Schwan, apologies in advance for missing that. But yeah, keep them coming. We fucking love them here. Fucking love them. And we may have something in the works coming up that makes this more doable as well, but we'll talk to you more about that when it's official.
Also, if you're missing Jacob, he is down bad with man flu this week, but I'm pretty sure he PB'd his points in a single game. He scored 21 points on Monday night at the local rec league. So obviously coming out of that quite immunocompromised, it's not scoring buckets. It's not for free, Anyway, let me listen to this voice message by Juan.
Hello, lads. So, quick question. So, topic I want you guys to go over. It'd be interesting. Would you train someone who's on performance-enhancing performance-enhancing drugs? And if you have, is that different? Has it been different to coaching other athletes? Has it felt different? And yeah, would you guys train someone who's on steroids, on PEDs? I'm curious. And yeah, have a good day.
What a great question. And this comes up a lot. Sorry, I'm just quitting out of a few apps because my computer is chugging at the moment. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd train someone on steroids. I mean, I lose respect for people who are taking steroids who aren't absolute weapons. That's just a personal thing. Because I'm just fuck, if you're going to fucking inject yourself with something or do oral steroids, be a fucking weapon. It's just a personal thing, I guess. It's weird though, because I don't judge people for doing recreational drugs. I don't know. Maybe I should think about that a little bit more. But yeah, I've trained people on steroids before. And it's the same. It's the same in the sense that training everyone is different. Everyone has an individual response to exercise and stuff like that. So it's the exact same thing. I have a collaborative, individualized and relatively reactive approach to programming. So collaborative being like, you know, asking them like, hey, how do you feel? One, what has worked before? Like if they've been on steroids for a while, or if this is let's say that this is their first cycle. They're hopping on gear as they're starting to train with me. I'd probably be like, well, what have you been doing lately? Like, has that been working for you? And if they're hopping on gear, like, probably not. Like, and then I'd probably be like, hey, what if we could get you training, progressing without hopping on steroids? You probably would feel just as good, right? Maybe even better. But regardless of that, I think both of those are technically correct. Yeah, you just give them a dose of training and then see how they respond to it. Like you hear a lot of people saying that. I think the people who are less experienced often say like, oh, they can handle so much more training volume. But that's not always the case because often they are capable of creating a bigger stimulus with that strength boost and things like that. Or like the kind of cunt who's going to inject research chemicals into themselves that aren't approved for human consumption is probably not the same cunt that's going to go to bed on time and eat their veggies and track their protein. So like often people will hop on steroids, get a little bit of a performance boost, but then their health deteriorates because they're just fucking treating their body like an amusement park. And then it sort of comes down to how much steroids are they willing to do to overcompensate from that. But then it's also about like this sort of finite game of how much fucking gear can they take before they just tank their health even further from just the side effects of gear. So yeah, people who get long-term progress on gear and don't just fucking die or have some sort of horrific health consequences are actually kind of like fucking probably don't get enough respect because they're kind of unicorns. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. You just sort of treat them the same. You individualize it like you would anyone's training, and even natties have like such a varied response to dose of exercise.
Yeah, right. Have you ever trained anyone who you suspected was on PEDs even though they were claiming they weren't?
Yeah, actually a guy recently... Oh no, that just sort of came out. I was like, I was just doing his loom check-in and he was doing some shirtless lifting. I was like, fuck, he's stacked. And then he was just like, oh, I ran a cycle a couple of years back. That's probably why. And I was like, oh, fair play.
Yeah, right.
No, because kind of before that, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty strong. And then when I found out he'd run a cycle, I'm like, well, this is a bit less impressive now. He was a good bloke. So like I said, I am a bit of a cunt in that regard. Like I have pretty high expectations of people on gear, even with all that being said. Because I just like, every human has such potential if you just fucking apply yourself rather than just trying to chase down fucking drugs off some cunt in a car park or a fucking gym changing room. Like, what are we doing here?
And I think it makes a lot of sense. I think if you look at someone who's really strong or really jacked, however you want to phrase it, and you look at that and go, oh, that equates to this person has put in this much work over this length of time and has been consistent with whatever they've been doing. And that's how they've gotten their pure hard work and determination. And then you actually find out that it wasn't pure hard work and determination. There was a lot of hard work and determination, but there was also like a big, like pharmaceutical component to that.
He was also whinging about stiff hips, and I'm like, running a cycle and putting on a bunch of contractile tissue and training through a short range of motion, so probably going to make your hips stiff, and you do 2,000 steps a day. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like,
yeah, right.
Anyway, it is what it is.
Totally.
The GPP group program is the best deal in strength and conditioning. For less than $1 a day, you get access to my programming as well as access to me through a group chat where you can reach out, ask questions, or have a form check. You can even get a week for free before you commit to it. Check out the show notes for more info. Have you been training? Can we get you in? When am I going to get you in the fucking gym?
I mean, soon enough, I guess. Whenever I'm fucking in the one place for any length of time. I've been all
What are you doing next week?
Next week is a great question. I think I'm in Sydney on Monday, and then I think I'm picking up. My parents went away again. They came back and then didn't like the weather here, so they've gone to Cairns. So they're...
I wanted to do that so bad. I'm looking out my window right now. And yeah, every day since I got back from New Zealand, because like I take the holiday to New Zealand like smack bang in the middle of winter with this idea in my head that I'm going to come back and our weather will be on the up, but it's just never heating up at the rate that I want it to. So just the temptation to just pivot to Bali is so real.
Oh, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And then I haven't really worked out the rest of the week because I have a gig in Camden on Friday. So I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of just figuring out what to do. But like, that's where I'm at next week, basically.
Nice.
Between the two. But maybe we can do it next week. I'm also, maybe this is a discussion for another pod, but like, kind of thinking about joining a gym in Sydney.
Oh yeah. I think like I think Anytime Fitness is an uninspiring shitholes. Having said that, like they are fucking everywhere, and like like I think you're probably a bit less picky about your training environment than me. What was that?
There's one room near my place. Yeah.
What's an Anytime membership cost these days?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Mate, warehouse is fucking $12 a week. Get yourself in there. Yeah. I mean, there's no Balmain location, but fuck, when you're in the goal.
Yeah, but even that's like half hour away from my house in Goal.
I mean, how bad do you want it? And I know the answer is not that bad. I've seen that conversation go down in so many PT consults back in the day. Like there was this real sales heavy cunt. And I burst out laughing. I don't get along with the sales heavy cunts, especially back in the day when my business wasn't as good. And they used to always hassle me about my lack of sales skills and closing skills. Because like anyone who'd have an objection to training with me, I'd be like, well, that sounds completely valid. I wouldn't want to train with me either. So fucking, as you were, go live your life. One time I was just walking past the sales cunt up in the gym foyer. And yeah, he was dropping that one on some prospective client. He was like, well, how bad do you want it? And they're like, I didn't want this at all. You had to call me 3 fucking times to get me to this consult. I just came because I felt bad for you. It's like, oh God. Just that moment just touched my soul. I want to just go up and like give that guy just a big kiss on the lips and be like, you just have no idea how amazing you are. Fucking.
That's so fucking funny.
Man, I fucking hate sales guru PTs. They suck ass. Oh, no, I've probably been a bit too negative on that. You shouldn't be utterly useless. I don't know. I feel good about selling people shit they don't want. Like, I feel like they become the worst clients.
Yeah, I think it's salesy people full stop. Like salesy people full stop to me are just, and I also think like, look, it's 2025, right? I think everyone is kind of coming around to this fucking realization that there is like a big market for sales and that the world kind of needs salespeople to help people buy things that they're not all that sure what they're doing. But like, I just don't think you can be an old school. You can't be car salesman about it anymore. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's absolutely a fucking need for helping people through with a purchasing decision. But that's what you should be doing. You should be helping them. You shouldn't be trying to rip them off. And
I mean, maybe it's look. Am I speaking from a semi-privileged position? And I don't mean in the sense that I'm a straight white male. I more mean in the sense that like I was working smack bang in the middle of Sydney CBD at a gym beneath 2 banks. And like I had the Deloitte Tower over the road. I had an EY Tower over the road. Heaps of like PwC heavies in the gym. I mean, pretty much every major bank in Australia had a tower within like 500 meters of my gym. So, you know what I mean? There was like more rollies than you could count. And that was just the people who trained with their rollies on. You got safe bet that probably like 50% of Rolex wearing people are leaving them in the locker while they train. Maybe not in the gym locker because it's probably pretty easy to open them up and get yourself robbed, but maybe just leaving it in the office or something like that. So yeah, like, I'm sorry, what I mean by that is like not being salesy, because I always felt like, because one of the most common objections is price. And when someone was like, I can't afford this, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Cost of living's fucked. Probably got a mortgage, couple of kids, maybe not getting paid that crazy. I was like, I'll just find someone with heaps of cash because they're around. Yeah. So whereas like if you're out in the middle of fucking whoop whoop, I don't know, maybe, and obviously you won't be able to charge as much, but maybe you do need to be able to push a little bit more and be like, nah, don't fucking buy a coffee every day. Just fucking do instant coffee at home and then you have money for PT. So maybe I'm being too judgmental of salesy cunts and people who push back on price objections and stuff. But it was also just seeing like the sales guru guy brag about how he got someone to like remortgage their house to pay for like 12 months of PT sessions up front. I'm like, one, I think you're lying. And two, this is not a good lie. Like I hope this isn't true. Like you sound like an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Having said that, I did see that guy when I logged back into Facebook recently for the first time in fucking years, got handed a $10 million worth of sales plaque from the head of ClickFunnels or whatever. So that guy's obviously gone on to do great things, but I don't know. It just seems like an absolute soulless prick to me.
Well, yeah.
And like I said, if I was that focused on making money, I'd just open up an Acai and vape shop in Thirroul.
Well, yeah.
Have I spoken about this on the podcast before?
Probably. I feel like it rings out.
Yeah. So like if you go back 12 months, I mean, the seed for this was planted when I was like living in London for 3 months. I mean, I spent a fair bit of time in London over the last couple of years, but I just sort of realized that probably like 50% of brick and mortar businesses in London are kept afloat purely off selling vapes. And I was just like, obviously like, and then like, I was thinking like, when's Thirroul going to get a vape store? Because like so many vape stores around Wollongong. Vaping's pretty huge. In case you've been living under a fucking rock, everyone from the age of 15 to fucking 80 years old is doing it, sucking on those flavored USB sticks. But Thirroul didn't have a vape shop, and I was like, man, it's like not good. Like obviously you're probably going to hell. I don't know if I believe in hell, but like, you know what I mean? Like if hell exists and you open a vape store, that's probably where you're heading, especially if you're selling them to like the demo that likes them the most, which is underage kids. But we also didn't have an Acai shop. So like, I think Oakberry is one of the fastest franchises to scale to like $1 billion valuation or something like that. And, like Thirroul, the village, you'll know this, Harvey. It's like so many stores open up, are around for like 6 to 12 months, go under, and then someone else sort of has a crack at it. But within the space of 6 months, 2 acai bowl shops opened up within 100 meters of each other, and they are both absolutely pumping. Oh, sorry. Another thing is, just when I was moving back to Thirroul after living in Sydney for all those years and then London for a bit, I noticed the local mothers were protesting about the first vape shop also opening up in Thirroul. And I was like, what if we just fucking cut out the middleman? I'm like, mate, come in here. You get your acai bowl on the way in, and then on the way out, you're like, you want grape or you want a fucking mango vape? And you just stick it right in the top of the acai bowl. You're like, there you go. Fucking, that'll be, fuck, what are you charging for that combo? I mean, with a few mix-ins, maybe you're pushing like $55 per head. That's insane.
Dude, it's
maybe they don't need a fresh vape every day. Maybe it's like every second day they combo their acai bowl with a vape. But like, fuck, man, like the revenue would just be insane. I think that's just like a lock. Obviously, like, you know, you do a SWOT analysis on that, like the legality of selling vapes like comes into question frequently. How hard are they going to be able to successfully crack down on that? I don't know. But like I said, that's when I knew that I wasn't in it for the money. I'm in it for the love of the game. And I don't love selling vapes and acai bowls. I like getting cunts generally physically prepared. It's not about the money. Money is just a consequence of following your passion, you know?
Oh, big time. It's funny how many of my like $1 million ideas are basically just like combining two things that exist already and being like,
it's like, what if I design an AI drone to efficiently kill people in distant lands? Like, you know what I mean? It's really just about money. It's like, that's sort of what you're thinking about.
100%. 100%.
Case in point, 100%. Guy from Spotify. He's making financial moves.
Oh, dude, yeah. Speaking of Thirroul, though, see, we're getting a chicken shop back.
Oh man, dude, yeah, I'm fucking cheated up about that. Yeah,
me as well.
That goes right into my little bubble. So I talk about how good my little bubble is all the time. So within a 200-meter radius of my apartment, we've got my favorite surf break. Got my favorite meditation spot. I've got my dream house that I can ogle at for a little bit of inspiration to work harder. I got the best pizza shop in the state. I got one of the most frequent stopping train stations, whether I want to get to Sydney or the fucking airport. And now I have a fucking roast chook shop as well. Get that rotisserie chicken fresh. Shout out to Tim Riley. It's I'm really G'd up. I've sort of been like poking my head around the corner every day. Thing looks like it's getting real close to opening. How long since we've had a fucking hot chicken shop in Thirroul? It's been like 5 years.
Something like that, because I noticed the other day, the Hungry Monkey is closed and is going.
Good riddance. It's never good when a small business goes under, but yeah, I wasn't that fond of it. I thought the food was a little bit average, and actually they were really nice people. I will say that.
Really nice people, and I will say it out loud, their chili scrambled eggs are the hottest chili scrambled eggs I've ever fucking had. Like,
I respect that.
You have to watch yourself when ordering those. Some days you were like, Jesus, that is a lot for a morning. However, do you know the Cafe do you know Lower East in Wollongong?
Are they moving in there?
I think the people who either own it or used to own it are opening something there.
What are they going to call it? Up and North?
I couldn't say Middle East. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, man. Fucking apparently something to do with those guys is opening up. And I was in there the other day.
Up about that.
Fucking delicious.
Man, cafe culture in Thirroul, the sky's the fucking limit. Hey, like you can just throw a rock and hit like 4 good cafes. It's awesome.
But that's a big space where the Hungry Monkey is. Like I reckon that's probably why it didn't survive, because there's one in Kiama and one in Bowral as well. I'm pretty sure like they're a big fucking entity, and like that's just such a huge law.
Last I heard, they were also trying to launch a competitor to Nudie Juice.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it seemed quite ambitious.
Is Nudie Juice
I haven't heard shit about it.
Does seem wild that there isn't like a super obvious competitor. Or is there an?
I bet that they've got the bougie juice scene on lock, I guess. Like they dominate that market. But if you look at just the juice market, and yeah, fitness heads, we're talking about fruit juice, not fucking steroids. But yeah, I would say that it's somewhat competitive, but then like they sort of managed to carve out their own niche within that sort of group of juice makers. Extra pulpy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
We absolutely love doing this show, and one of the most exciting things for us is watching it grow, because it means we can commit more time to it, as well as have access to better guests to bring you even more quality content. One of the most impactful ways you can help us grow the show is by shouting it out, screenshotting this episode, and sharing it on your stories to let people know that you're listening. Don't underestimate how influential you can be on helping us grow this show, and we appreciate it so much. We should give people more fitness topics rather than just fucking talking about like Thirroul goss. I'm trying to rack my brain. Fuck, it's just turning over so fucking slow today. This is the thing, like having a sleep routine does make you a more fragile person. I believe that, like on some level. I think it's like a net positive, but it does open you up to like, fuck, you just get absolutely tanked. Versus when your sleep is just pure chaos, you know what I mean? And just less structured. Like your average is probably lower, but when you have a night of shit sleep, you're like, well, this is just my fucking average.
Yeah, no, fully.
Mum's been getting really jazzed about like the acute effects of creatine. Mum's like, on the way into the gym, she was like, I took 10 grams of creatine to the dome the other day and I got like giddy. And I was like, Mum, that's fucking amazing. Like, but she was worried that she was sort of going to like almost be like too much of a buzz and get in the way of sleeping. I'm like, nah, I think that's the creatine dream. I think it's like free money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You get all the sort of benefits of that sort of caffeine buzz. Yeah, because there's a lot of, for people who aren't paying attention, like, I mean, we've been researching creatine for fucking ages, and people have always been pretty fucking stoked on it for just like building muscle. But it seems like now they're looking a lot into for building muscle and sort of the chronic effects of creatine consumption. Like, and I had always sort of laughed at people who were worried or fussed over the timing of their creatine, and like there wasn't any evidence, you know, maybe like 5 to 10 years ago that I was aware of, at least, to give a fuck about the timing of your creatine consumption. But the two areas of exploration that have been really, really interesting is one, just increasing the dose beyond 5 grams per day, and also just the actual timing of it. And so just that's where a lot of these people now talking about like the cognitive benefits of creatine consumption, both like preventing a bunch of Or is it like your Parkinson's and your Alzheimer's? Sorry, I'm not sure if it's Parkinson's. I'm pretty sure it's like Alzheimer's and shit. Anyway, a bunch of like fucking shit that you don't want happening to you. Creatine obviously helps with, but then also they're saying if you get a bump to the noggin and suffer a concussion, that you should be slamming like 30 to 40 grams of creatine for like the next 7 days. And I think they observed like a 30% reduction in post-concussion symptoms. But then also, yeah, like using it, I'm not sure if using it as a stimulant is the right term. Well, yeah, I think it is. Yeah, using it as a stimulant. When I say stimulant, I associate that with like a come up and then a crash. But I think sort of the whole idea of creatine is it's like, it's just fucking fuel for the brain. And you just get a little bit of a buzz, but then I don't think there's meant to be a crash, which look, principally when something sounds too good to be true, typically is. And creatine's just so cheap, and the idea that just gives you this amazing buzz and then there's not a crash. It's like, you know, is that violating my principles? Like, is it just going to turn out that like creatine fucking does something gnarly to you? But again, like it is being researched. But then again, how long have we been? Maybe this is where, because you know the old worry about creatine, people used to be like, oh, it's going to be bad for your kidneys. I wonder if we will start seeing sort of stuff like that. But so far it seems like the only negative side effect is it can upset some people's tummies.
Yeah, right.
Like sort of beyond 5 grams. But then it's sort of about spacing it out throughout the day. And then you probably won't be able to use it as an acute sort of, in an acute sense for that stimulant effect if you have that weak tummy syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is one of those things, I guess, that like, I mean, like, how big is the research base on it? Or is the knowledge base, like, is there the demand to research it that much? Or is it one of those things where it's like...
Yeah, no, people are fired up. It is one of the most researched fitness and sports supplements. I think caffeine is still number one. I'm not sure though. Like I often hear creatine cited as the number one most studied sports supplement, but then I wonder if people aren't putting caffeine in that list, which it absolutely should be. And like, I haven't done the count. I would just assume that caffeine is more studied, but yeah, I'm pretty sure creatine is the second by a long shot. And what would the third be? I reckon it's either beta alanine or glutamine. I think it might be glutamine, but because I don't even know what glutamine is meant to be for. I think some people take it for like digestion and shit. I think some people are sort of taking it for recovery. I'm not sure if it actually has an impact. I don't know if glutamine's doing much for people, but beta alanine is one where it like sort of seems like some people absolutely fucking love it, whereas some people just can't handle that like itchiness that it sort of gives you. But I think it sort of just helps you with like endurance and stuff like that, or like when you're feeling the burn. But I'm like, is it because it's like your skin already feels like it's on fire, so you notice burning sensations in your muscles less? Like it helps you like fight off symptoms of fatigue or sort of push through feelings of fatigue for a little bit longer. But then there's fish oil. Like, is that considered a sports supplement? But maybe it's not as heavily researched. Let me pull up the old examine.com.
Hey everyone, Matt Harvey here. I produced this podcast that you're listening to or watching just now. So if you like the way that it looks and sounds, that's partially down to me. If you've got a podcast, video, or other online project that you'd like some production help with, or even if you just want to chat through some ideas, drop me a DM or an email. My details can be found in the show notes below. Thanks so much for your time. On with the show.
Okay, so I'm just going off Google's like AI thing that it comes up with. I just Googled most research supplement, and AI Google is telling me that creatine, specifically creatine monohydrate, which is the one that everyone sort of tells you to take, is the most researched supplement.
Okay.
Let me open up my good friend ChatGPT and let's ask a different fucking language model, whatever they fucking call them. What has more on it, caffeine or creatine? Creating some muscle. It's thinking. Yeah, fucking hell. Fuck Google AI. There is a significantly larger body of scientific literature on caffeine compared to creatine. So I'm guessing people are like categorizing caffeine as just like a fucking lifestyle thing, not a sports supplement, which is like a gross misrepresentation of the powers of caffeine, in my opinion. Like caffeine is such a performance enhancing supplement. It's insane.
Am I not understanding something here though? What is so you'd classify caffeine and creatine as the same thing?
No. I'm saying that I look at them as sports or performance supplements. They're not the same thing, but like, sorry,
Okay.
you've been confused because, like, yes, some people now, based on emerging research, are using creatine not as necessarily a replacement for caffeine, or some people might, but that it has a stimulant-like effect when taken in the right dose. Caffeine is definitely a stimulant. And like you take enough caffeine. If you want to hit a PB, it's like fucking take a bit extra caffeine. It'll get you there. Assuming you've put in the work to hit a PB, it'll sort of, just put you in the right place. I mean, you can overstimulate yourself for sure, but typically just taking like a little bit extra, it gives you like a great performance boost.
Sure.
Keep that one up my sleeve occasionally. Like periodize my caffeine consumption to some extent in the gym, not necessarily in my life.
I guess it's just one of those ones though where like, I mean, surely most people consuming caffeine aren't doing it for like, sport and fitness purposes, whereas like most people taking creatine, I'm assuming, are, right?
You're right. But most fitness people, I would say, are taking some form of caffeine pre-workout. Oh, how confident
sure, but I'd imagine that's because
that.
most people in the world are taking some form of caffeine, like, for anything. Like, I wouldn't classify caffeine as a sports supplement necessarily. I would classify it as like, whereas I would classify creatine
exclusively as that.
Yeah. Whereas to me, I don't see anyone taking creatine. Well, I'm sure there's someone, but I don't see many people taking creatine before they go to work.
Well, I would like to see that shift.
Sure. Yeah.
Because do you know how cheap it is as well? Like it's so fucking cheap.
No, I would have no idea.
Yeah, like as far as supplements go, you know what I mean? Like fuck.
Yeah.
So a kilo of creatine monohydrate, I can get that shipped to my door for like $50.
Right.
And I'm pounding it like it's going out of fashion, like taking over 10 grams a day.
10 grams is a lot, right?
Yeah. So like I said, you can get a lot of benefits off like 5 grams a day in terms of like your ability to build muscle.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so let's say cognitive effects. I don't know if I've seen much research supporting the cognitive effects at under 10 grams a day. I'm willing to be very wrong about that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've read every paper on creatine. I think I've read 2 papers on creatine in my life. And then I'm like, oh, this seems pretty sweet. Like anything that comes up in an abstract, I'm like, well, I don't want to read that paper because I would like to sort of get a little bit of a placebo effect and just take this abstract at face value. Like, I'm like, what's the downside if I'm wrong here? When it's like me or my clients, like, am I going to feel like there's egg on my face if I've been telling my clients about all these amazing effects of creatine and then they turn out to not be true? Like, what's the risk if I'm wrong? It's like, yeah, they've burnt like $50 a year. I don't give a fuck. If you can afford training with Gus, you can afford to light $50 on fire per year. But like I said, I'm fairly confident that it's doing some phenomenal things. Should be in the fucking water supply. Well, no, it shouldn't because it's not water soluble and it just ruin the taste of water for a whole bunch of people. Yeah, I can't remember who was trying to debate me on. So creatine is like, it doesn't mix into things. Like you put in your smoothie or something like that, or you can mix it up with like orange juice. I mean, you can fucking just dome it if you want. But again, typically people will mix it into some sort of liquid. But it ends up, it's like sand.
Right.
And I was like, it's not soluble. And someone's like, no, that it's soluble. Like it breaks apart. But I'm like, no, soluble means it like combines with the fluids. Like that's like saying, like, would you call sand soluble? Like if you got a glass of water and then put a tablespoon of sand into it and mixed it around, like, yes, all the sand particles have been separated from each other in that water, but that's not like soluble. Like if it's soluble, it'd get like fully combined to the point where you can't like feel the individual grains of sand. Like creatine is like that.
Well, that's what I understand soluble to mean, but I've never, it's been a while since I've textbook definitioned it.
Yeah. I was like, you could say bricks are soluble in water. You know, because you just throw a bunch of
Lauren.
bricks in a swimming pool. You're like, well, so fucking, like, yeah. Anyway, it's just an example of some of the stupid debates I get into on a daily basis, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. We're doing some big updates to the team training. I've been ripping lots of PRs, and it is a train along with Gus, but fucking everyone, a lot of the GPP team have been ripping huge PRs lately. So check that out. You can get a free week. It should be in the show notes. Check out GPP Level 1 if you want to level up coaching, your results, if you want a little bit of support and accountability from your boy. 3 live calls a week, and we go deep on it. It's pretty hectic. What else are we flogging at the moment? You can get the content creation ebook. People still been loving that. Man, people charge like, there are courses that have way shitter information on content creation and business structure than that ebook I made, and they're flogging their courses for like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, I'm putting all that information in a tidy little PDF. It's $100 AUD. So like US dollars cranking right now. You can probably pick that up for like, it's probably like 60 fucking USD or something like that. Anyway, check your local currency conversion, but that book is insane value. I mean, all our products are insane value. Fucking S&C from your boy with feedback for less than $1 a day. Revolutionize your fucking coaching system for a one-time payment of $350 and get ongoing support from your boy and a community of like-minded individuals, or the e-commerce and content creation PDF, which is like $100. It's an absolute fucking steal. You make your money back off that if you apply the stuff that's in it. I mean, that's sort of the way it works with all our products. If you apply the knowledge in the products, you are going to yield much more than your investment. I think we'll leave it there. Oh, don't forget, hey, if you're loving the show, we love that you're loving the show, but if you can share it in your story, that helps us a ton. This is probably a weird episode to share, like for people to get their first impression of us. A little bit of a weird one from the boys today, but I figure we appreciate any sort of shares.
100%, 100%. Also, sorry, just quickly, if you guys like the voice note, the voice message or whatever, and you want to send something in, the link is in the show notes below. So yeah, get them in. We love having them, and we will do them more regularly if we get them more regularly. So yeah, chuck them in.
Yeah, thank you for sending in that question. I love talking about people on steroids. Always got lots to say.
And Schwan, get in touch again. Repeat caller. Don't let it be the last time. All right,
Schwan, you could be the fucking 4th host of the show at this rate.
Get on here, Schwan. What are you doing?